That video you did a few weeks back was really helpful in finding some fun beginner games.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Do you have any more?
Why, yes, I do.
No football games, okay?
Have a seat. Cue the intro. Hey there, and welcome back to the BoardGame Sherpa channel, the channel whose goal is to take the fear out of learning new board games. I got quite a bit of great feedback on volume 1 of my best gateway games video, so I'd figure I'd whip up another batch for you of games that are great introductions to board gaming beyond the basic Monopoly type of games. Now, if I'm talking about games in a series, that means I love these games and would gladly play any of them at game night, especially with beginning gamers. I'm also only showing those that are easy to find, and I'll post links where to buy them in the description below. But first, what are gateway games? Gateway games are board games that are great introductions to the next level of board gaming beyond the Monopoly and Life games. Some folks call them introductory games or welcoming games, but to me, they'll all be called gateway games, mainly because they draw you in and get you addicted like their illegal drug counterparts, without all the horrible effects, of course, other than hits on your wallet. So, let's get started with the second batch of 5 great gateway games. Number 1, Luchador. So, I started volume 1 of the series off with Survive, which was the first game that was a gateway game for me personally. With volume 2, I'm going to lead off with a game that started out as an early gateway game, but turned into my favorite game of all time. Luchador is a fast-paced board game designed by Mark Rivera for Backspindle Games. It bills itself as the fast-rolling, hard-hitting, body-slamming, neck-crunching, chair-smashing, table-slapping game for 2 to 6 players. Although, you really only play 2 people at a time, even in tag team mode. It is supposed to capture the excitement of lucha libre wrestling, and from personal experience, I can absolutely testify that it does indeed make for some of the most exciting board game experiences ever. A typical game takes around 30 minutes to play. The objective of the game is to pin your opponent or get closer to knocking them out completely with each roll of the die. Each player takes on the role of a luchador wrestler, each with their own unique set of moves and abilities. These wrestlers have the greatest names, backgrounds, and moves. Lady Kuki has her Banzai Bomb. El Perritos has his Scratch That Flea. El Cobra Vuelos has Mighty the Cobra. And my absolute favorite luchador, Ay Dolores, has her Sweetheart Slingshot. Standing on the ring apron, Dolores pulls back on the top rope and using its power launches herself up and into the ring, effortlessly tumbling in midair to crash back first across her helpless opponent's chest. On each turn, players both roll their dice to determine the moves and possible blocks and counters for that turn. If you hit or counter twice, you get the luchador dice, which can inflict some serious hurt. If your opponent is weak and the dice are in your favor, you can go for the pin, but your opponent can also kick out if their dice are strong. What makes this game unique and immersive is that it comes with its own wrestling ring. You don't need to use it, but there's a perfectly fine piece of game board you can use. But where's the fun in that? This game is probably not on many serious gamers' top game lists. But with the right group of friends, you'll be laughing till tears come when the dice hit perfectly.
And I got you with the table.
The table! Oh, time for the table!
Alright, so it's like, when I teach you, get on the table!
Overall, Luchador is a fun and great choice for beginners, and has enough strategy and personality for the more serious gamers. The best part is that Backspindle recently put out a new version of Luchador called Lucha Wars, and it has ladders, tables, and chairs. I'll talk about this one in a future episode, but if you're into professional wrestling, check out Luchador. You'll thank me later. Number 2, Carcassonne. Carcassonne is a classic board game by Klaus-Jürgen Ried of Z-Man Games that's been popular among both casual and serious board gamers for many years. It's a tile-based game where players take turns placing tiles and deciding whether to add meeples to claim different areas such as roads, rivers, cities, and monasteries. The game is designed for 2 to 5 players and typically lasts between 30 and 60 minutes, making it a great choice for a quick game night filler. One of the big strengths of Carcassonne is its simplicity. The rules are easy to understand, and players can quickly get the hang of the game after just a few turns. However, despite its simplicity, the game offers a lot of strategic depth. Players must balance the need to expand their own domains or risk leaving them vulnerable to being stolen by other players. The placement is random for each game, so no 2 games are ever the same. Additionally, the game offers a variety of expansions that add new mechanics and features to the game, allowing players to customize the game to their liking. Side note. Now, this is one of the games I started playing using the physical game. But when I found the tablet app, I quickly switched over to it. Like with Ticket or Ride, this game is irresistible to my gamer cat who likes to jump up and wreck everything.
Cat-tail is a deadly weapon.
Plus, it's really nice to finish a game and not have to physically clean it up. Number 3, Horrified. Horrified is a 1 to 5 player cooperative board game designed by Prospero Hall for Ravensburger Games, where players take on the roles of different monster hunters attempting to save a small town from the universal monsters. Monsters such as Dracula, Frankenstein, his bride, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. There's also a separate game called Horrified American Monsters that has the same basic mechanics, but you're fighting urban folklore monsters such as the Jersey Devil, Bigfoot, and Chupacabra. I prefer the classic Universal monsters, so I chose this one, but I'm sure there aren't that many differences between the two. This is a great beginner's game and gets more advanced as you learn how to play and take on tougher monsters. Speaking of, the game comes with high-quality, unpainted miniatures of the Universal monsters. Warning: you can play the game just as well with the unpainted miniatures, but the publishers of this game committed the worst sin of all, making the creature from the Black Lagoon as a purple-colored character instead of being green like the actual creature. I am not a miniature painter, nor aspire to be one, but I just had to correct this blasphemy and paint these miniatures myself. Warning number 2. If you are not a miniature painter wannabe, and can buy the painted minis on eBay or Etsy for $50, just do it. I spent well over $150 on paint and materials to get an okay quality final product. Horrified is very simple to learn and has a quick setup. There's even a great beginner scenario to help you get your feet wet fighting Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Each monster has a unique set of abilities and behaviors, creating interesting and varied challenges. You can really get immersed in the game with the artwork and story. Everything is just beautifully designed and should appeal to fans of the horror genre. It is also a cooperative game, so players are encouraged to work together to defeat the monsters, but it also allows for individual strategies and decision making. The game strikes a good balance that keeps players engaged without that overwhelming feeling. If you enjoy classic monsters and cooperative games, Horrified is definitely worth checking out. Side note: if you go to the Horrified's Board Game Geek page, you can find a fan-made expansion card so you can play as characters from Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Number 4, King Domino. YouTuber Donna Kerfalis suggested King Domino in the comments section of my last Gateway Games video, and while I had seen it in stores, I knew nothing about it beforehand. But she said 2 very key things. It was easy to learn and it was cheap. So I picked it up at Barnes & Noble, and while it was on my personal shelf of shame for longer than I had hoped, I finally got around to learning and playing it. And Donna was right. It was real easy to learn and quite a fun gateway game. And as an extra bonus, you can play entire games in less than 15 minutes. King Domino is a tile placement board game designed for 2 to 4 players and is published by Blue Orange Games. There's a lot of strategy involved, so it was a great choice for both beginning and more experienced players. The game begins with each player selecting a king and starting landscape tile. On each turn, players select a tile from a set of face-up tiles and add it to their kingdom, trying to match up the terrain types to create larger and more valuable areas. The catch is that the order that players select their tiles in determines the order of play for the next round. So players must balance the value of the tile they want now with the impact on the next turn. Additionally, the game's scoring system rewards players who can create large areas of the same terrain type. King Domino has really fun, colorful, and detailed illustrations, and its components are high quality. If you are new to the board gaming hobby, King Domino is definitely worth checking out. Thank you, Donna, for suggesting it. Number 5, Takaido. If you watched my previous episode called Learn Any Board Game Now, you would have seen me be overdramatic in learning how to play this final game of Volume 2 of the Best Gateway Games. This one is called Takaido, and I didn't realize at the time I was filming the other one, but Takaido really is one of the simplest games to learn. There's tons of strategy built in to win the game, so experienced gamers will be challenged, but the actual learning the game was super easy. Takaido is a board game from Antoine Bauza of Funforge that offers an exquisite gaming experience. It's designed for 2 to 5 players and takes about 30-45 minutes to complete. Players take on the roles of travelers journeying through the historic Takaido Road in Japan, stopping at various locations along the way to collect the best balance of experiences, coins, food, and souvenirs. One of the most striking things about Takaido is its art and graphic design. The game board, cards, and play pieces are all beautifully illustrated with vibrant colors and attention to detail. Gameplay is straightforward. Players take turns moving the uniquely skilled travelers along the road, choosing which locations to stop at and what activities to participate in. These activities include collecting souvenirs, visiting hot springs, painting scenic vistas, and sampling local cuisine. The game's scoring system is based on the types and variety of experiences that players collect along the way, rather than simply accumulating points for each location visited. It also has a unique mechanic in that the person in last place along the road is the first person to go on the next turn, so players can sometimes get extra turns by staying in the back. But when it comes time to eat, the best food runs out first. There's some expansions to the game that make things more interesting. I'm not normally a biggest fan of expansions, but in this case, I will gladly play using them. It adds characters with different skills and more options at every step along the road. Side note, as you saw in Horrified, I'm not the best miniature painter, and there's 32 miniatures in this game. I'm not going to paint them. I'm going to try and find someone to paint them for me, but if not, I gladly play with the miniatures unpainted. When you want a relaxing, easy-to-learn game that reminds you to stop and smell the roses, Takaido is a great choice. These 5 games, in addition to the previous 5 in Volume 1, are great starts to bringing new players into the hobby of next-level wargaming. I still have plenty of great gateway games to tell you about, and we'll get to them in future episodes, but you can't go wrong starting off with any of the games I've already mentioned. Again, the main goal of the BoardGame Sherpa channel is to help folks take wargaming to the next level with the most fun and the least amount of stress. Monopoly, Life, and Yahtzee are fun games, but there's so much more that awaits you if you just dig a little deeper. As my channel title suggests, I want to help you explore all the cool things in board gaming. I've had my own personal BoardGame Sherpa, and he helped me tremendously in having a great board game journey. And I just want to pay it forward to others. So subscribe, and while you're at it, why not give the channel a big thumbs up? It'll really help me out a lot, and we can bring more players into the hobby, which will help you when you're trying to find people to play your favorite games. Deal? So go hit those like, comment, and subscribe buttons, and we all win. See you next episode.